my goal was to have Tennessee be a destination for people. And back when I first got on the commission, everybody that was a serious deer hunter in Tennessee, they were going to Kansas, so they were going to Kentucky leasing land. And, you know, there weren't people from Kansas coming to Tennessee. There weren't people from Kentucky coming to Tennessee. So now Tennessee is becoming a destination.
The award-winning Tennessee WildCast is on the air with the latest on hunting, fishing, boating, wildlife watching, and all things outdoors. Make welcome your host, drummer and outdoor expert novice, Jason Harmon.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Tennessee WildCast. Hey, we're excited. We are at Caymas Boats factory here in Ashland City, Tennessee. We got a great show for you today, kind of behind the scenes of what's going on here. And we're going to be talking with Mr. Earl Bentz, and it's an honor to be here with him and have Mr. Don King helping me co-host today. So, Don, thank you, and Earl, thank you.
Thank you, man. Looking forward to it.
This is awesome. There's a lot going on here behind us. We're at Caymas Boats. And Earl, I just want to get started by telling us how this company got started. How did Caymas get going?
Well, you know, I started the boat manufacturing business in 1975 with Hydro Sports, and Middle Tennessee has been known for decades as one of the headquarters of fishing boats manufacturing in the United States. So my last company, my non-compete expired. I tried retirement for 3 months. It didn't work. Unfortunately, the company that bought my old company kept it here for 5 years, relocated it out of state, and after retiring for 3 months and figuring out I couldn't do it, I came back, got a lot of my old crew together, met with all the officials in Ashland City, the state officials of the state of Tennessee. Tennessee's a great place to do business, and we put the team back together, and we've got about 150 employees here. About half of them have been with me in excess of 35 years. So these guys are pros, they're craftsmen, they know what they're doing, and we're dang happy to be here.
Wow. It's really fun to watch you walk around and interact with all the guys and gals that are making the boats happen here. It's a family kind of deal, isn't it?
You know, it is, and it's not just a cliche. You know, these people are like my extended family. I mean, I'm been with them for many, many years, some of them for over 40 years. And,
wow.
They know what they're doing. They take a lot of pride in what they do. And it's a great place to do business, you know. In the fishing industry, I've been very blessed to been able to provide for my family in a profession that's also my hobby. When I go on vacation, I go fishing. So I'm a very blessed person in more ways than you can imagine.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I was reading up on you. We've met. It's been years ago, but I was reading up a little bit, and you've been you got your start working with your uncle. Is that right?
I did. Yeah, in South Carolina.
South Carolina.
When I was 14, I was raised on a family farm, and I'd get on a tractor to cultivate beans to do something on the farm, and I'd watch my family pray for it to rain and pray for it to quit raining. And I said, you know, I might need to find a little something to do to make a living that I've got a little more control over. And my uncle had a boat repair shop in Charleston, South Carolina. And when I was 14, I had a car and a driver's license, restricted license, but was able to drive back and forth to work. And he offered me a job in 1966. So he was also racing boats at the time, which really intrigued me. And I would clock out to help him work on his race boat. And my payoff for helping him work on the race boat was he would let me make a pass up and down the river when we went to test. So at 16, when I was 16 years old, he crashed, got hurt. He said, you know, I've got too much responsibility to do this. How would you like to drive it full time? So that's started I said, put me in, coach. I'm ready to go.
Wow.
So I raced for 13 years, had a great career, and this really led me into boat manufacturing. And my job here with Hydro Sports in 1975 when I moved to Nashville, Tennessee, and the rest is history. It's been a lot of fun. I've been blessed to be surrounded with a lot of great people, great craftsmen here that really know what they're doing in building boats, and we've had a lot of fun.
You know, back to the racing thing, Earl, I know there's a lot of different kinds of boat racing, kind of like there is on terrestrial, you know, drag racing and all different variations on the NASCAR circuit. But tell us a little bit about the kind of racing you were doing.
Well, we called it round-around. You know, they had drag boat racing, you know, quarter-mile racing. But we raced circle racing with a buoy at each end. It wasn't offshore racing. And I ran different classes with outboards and inboards. The last couple of years I raced, my little boat would run about 140 to 145 miles an hour.
Wow.
My big boat would run about 180 and have about that much pedal left. And unfortunately, in those days, that was the late 70s, early 80s, we didn't have capsules and seat belts, and there were a lot of fatalities. And when I was 29 years old, I was given an opportunity to run hydrosport, but part of the deal was I had to quit racing because I had, again, was going to have too much responsibility. So Janet and I got married. She said, I'll marry you while you're racing. We won't have kids because I'm not going to, until you quit, because I'm not going to raise them alone. But we had a circuit in Europe. We raced Paris, Milan, Italy, Amsterdam, Bristol, England.
Wow.
All over Europe, and about 30 races a year in the United States. So a lot of fun. Mercury Marine had a factory racing team at the time. There were 3 of us that drove for Mercury. We had about a $5 million budget back in the 70s, which was a lot of money back then.
Wow, yeah.
And I had 2 great teammates that I still am very close with today. And we had a lot of fun. We raced from Long Beach, California to Miami, Canada, and everything in between.
Huh.
So
wow.
it was a lot of fun. But that led me into manufacturing and really into more, especially the bass boat performance holds, because we picked up a lot of things racing, little techniques and things you could do to the running surface of a boat that we could apply to bass boats. And the guy that owned Hydrosport, that's one of the reasons he hired me, because he always wanted his boats to go fast. So we've applied that technology to bass boats, and then subsequently, like our Michael Peters designed double-stepped hulls on these offshore boats that we're building today. So performance means better fuel economy, better ride, dry ride, and help a customer get more value for his buck. So,
yeah.
And bass fishermen, most of them are just old boat racers anyway. They just might not have ever strapped into a race boat.
And a quicker trip to where the fish are is always a good thing too, I'm sure.
Well, especially in a tournament situation.
Yeah.
You know, you can stay there longer and fish longer because it takes as long to get back. So our boats perform well, and we started tooling and designing for this company September the 4th in 2018. And it took about 9 months to get the first 21-foot bass boat finished in production. Simultaneously, we were doing a 26 and 28-foot center console bay boat that is a good crossover boat. We call it a hybrid. It can be used for bass fishing, striper fishing, crappie fishing, but a lot of people here in Middle Tennessee, one of our biggest dealers is Clark Marine right here in town, but they have homes down in Orange Beach and Naples, Panama City, Apalachicola. So they go down and catch snapper and redfish out of it when they're not bass fishing. So it's a hybrid. And we've expanded that now to our 34-footer and our 40-footer that is actually sitting in the mold right now. The first one will be coming down the assembly line next week. So
awesome. So it's being tested right now on the water today, right?
Well, the new 19-foot bass boat is.
Oh, okay.
We've got bass boats. We've just finished our complete line of bass boats, our 18, 19, 20, and 21. The 19 was the last one. But the new 40-foot center console boat, that hull is already a proven hull. Michael Peters has already done all the testing in Florida.
Awesome.
This boat was actually tooled in Sarasota, Florida by Marine Concepts. And so the boat will go in production, and we'll have the first one in the water, I hope, in about 4 weeks.
That's exciting.
I heard you mention that you've got a special boat being built for you right at the moment. Tell us about, or as much as you can, about the one that's coming off the line for you.
I haven't had time to build myself one, and we just, for the 4th of July, my family and I went down to our home in South Florida to fish over the 4th of July.
Yeah.
And I had to fish out of one of my old brand of boats, which I have subsequently sold, but my next door neighbor has one of our 28-foot hybrids, and he was kind enough to let us go out with him and his boat. So I'm going to have 2 boats at my house. One is a 28-foot hybrid that I snook fish, redfish, and do close inshore fishing. We'll run out 15 miles offshore with it, but as soon as we get the 40-footer done, the bigger boat, I'll build one of those too. So I'll have one to run over to the islands in, and then the smaller boat. But yeah, I'm building a 28-foot hybrid, and I just went back a few minutes ago to show them where I wanted the rod holders and all of that stuff on it, you know. So Gets a trolling motor on the front, so I can bass fish with it if I want to, but I keep it on a lift in front of my house, so it'll stay in Florida.
I got you.
I do have bass boats for up here.
That's great. That's great.
I'm interested in hearing about how you became involved in the outdoors. What connected you to the outdoors, and then you became a commissioner, and tell us about how that all happened.
Well, I was raised on a farm. You know, both sides of my family farmed in South Carolina, and literally I could walk out my front door and go out on the river and saltwater and fish, which I did at a very early age. I'd get out the back door, and I had lots of land to hunt on.
Yeah.
And we would hunt deer. I shot my first turkey in 1966.
Wow.
A buddy of mine just sent me a picture of it the other day, right before I moved to Nashville, as a matter of fact. And so I was raised, my whole family, we were raised in the outdoors, hunting and fishing. We lived way out in the country. And again, it's always been my passion. And again, as I said earlier, being blessed to be able to have a career in something that's also my passion. I went to school actually to be a veterinarian, because I love animals and still love animals.
Yeah.
But some species of animals I don't care for, so I figured why try to work hard to save something's life and work with something that I don't care for. Now dogs I do love, but when I had an opportunity to present itself to make a living in the boat business, especially with fishing boats. You know, we don't do runabouts, and I did do pontoons at one time. We had a plant down in Mississippi where we built pontoon boats, and they're a lot of fun. Good crossover boat as well. But when I moved to Tennessee, I didn't know anybody, but I did like to hunt and fish, and I went and bought a car, and the guy that was the sales manager at the dealership that I went to, he said, boy, because I talk funny, you know, I had that South Carolina accent. He said, where are you from? I said, Charleston, South Carolina. And he said, do you like to hunt and fish? I said, yes, sir, I do. He said, well, we're going up to LBL. I didn't know what LBL was this weekend. Bow hunting. Deer, do you bow hunt? I said, yes, I do. So we went up there bow hunting.
Oh, neat.
And he ended up getting me in a club. And, of course, the guy that owned Hydrosport was an avid fisherman, so we fished together. So having access to a lot of boats at Hydrosports, I got to fish. And one thing led to another. I befriended many people at TWRA. And in 1995, Governor Sundquist asked me to serve on the Wildlife Commission. Because I was always very opinionated about limits on fish creel limits, size limits, and being a conservationist. You know, if we don't plant seeds, there's not going to be anything there for the next generation to catch or to hunt. So it was an opportunity for me to volunteer for the commission. It takes a lot of time, a lot of dedication. And we were able to get a lot of things accomplished on the commission. We had a great commission when I was on there, and the buck limit was adjusted down from 11 bucks in unit A to 2. We got creel limits on bass put on lakes, which helped everybody have more success. Raised the crappie limit to 10 inches, which protected the spawners so that we would not take all the seed out of the lake, so to speak. And it's made hunting and fishing better than ever. You know, the world record deer now comes from Tennessee.
Yeah.
You know, my goal was to have Tennessee be a destination for people. And back when I first got on the commission, everybody that was a serious deer hunter in Tennessee, they were going to Kansas, so they were going to Kentucky leasing land. And, you know, there weren't people from Kansas coming to Tennessee. There weren't people from Kentucky coming to Tennessee. So now Tennessee is becoming a destination. My last year I was chairman of the commission, and I went to Gary Meyer, who was the director at the time, and he said, "What do you want to do in your last year as chairman?" I said, "I want to get free-ranging elk in Tennessee." And he said, "Well, we've got a deal with the Farm Bureau. We agreed not to pursue that again." I said, "Well, that was you, not me. So if you don't mind, I'm going to go talk with the Farm Bureau people," which I did, and we had a wonderful dialogue started with the Farm Bureau, and subsequently within about 8 months we had free-ranging elk in Royal Blue in East Tennessee. So now we have a huntable population, as you know, with some giant bull elk.
Yeah.
So
And the good thing was, I think when they tried it initially, I don't think Royal Blue was even in consideration for the place that herd would be.
Exactly, it was not.
And it made a huge difference having a place where they could thrive like they are.
The first place, there were elk moving to the LBL, and where the agency, I think, prior to my time, wanted to put them was in West Tennessee, which was huge agriculture, soybeans, corn, and the farmers, of course, were up in arms, as I would have probably been too. The deer are bad enough.
Sure.
But Royal Blue was only, that whole area over there was only 1% agriculture, and that was hay. No corn, no beans, no row cropping. And really the residents in and around that area embraced the elk and more or less adopted them, and they were protectors of the elk.
Right.
And became, and still is, a tourist attraction. In September to go over and hear the elk bugle that hadn't bugled in 150 years in our state. So pretty heartwarming. They let one of my daughters open the gate and turn them loose one day, and that was brought a tear to the eye.
I remember that cold day. We've got video to prove it, don't we?
It was cold.
Wow.
Yeah, it sure was.
Yeah, the night before, everybody was all set. They had all the county school buses lined up to haul people up the mountain to that strip ledge where they were releasing the elk, and all of a sudden snow breaks out. And so we had about 5 or 6 inch snowfall in the night, and they had to cancel all the school buses. But we were, anybody with a 4-wheel drive vehicle was able to make it up.
Absolutely. So we got them from Elk Island, Canada, and which was a disease-free herd that had been monitored for 100 years. And I'll never forget that one cow elk ran out of the trailer, got right over the edge of the thing, and turned around and looked at us like, good to be home.
Yeah.
Kind of look,
That's
what I mean?
awesome.
So, and because of the strip mining, what they've done in reclaiming and planting all the native warm season grasses, it's great protein. So these elk have got more to eat year round than they've ever had, and that's why when we were at the retirement dinner the other night for Ed, the guy from Campbell County showed me some pictures of bulls in his backyard. And I mean, these are 400 class bulls, biggest bulls I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
So again, Tennessee and Kentucky has done it as well. We're becoming a destination for someone who wants to get an elk. And as you know, on our Tennessee Wildlife Resources Foundation, we're auctioning off a tag. Some lucky person is going to win one of 6 or 7 wonderful prizes, the pinnacle of which is the opportunity to hunt a bull in our premier zone.
Right.
So
that'd be a number one choice, I'd say, for whoever wins that first ticket out of the hopper.
Would be for me. That's for sure.
That was what I was going to say. I mean, you helped bring the elk here, and now we're actually hunting them and have a great population up at Royal Blue. And I got to experience one of those releases in 2008, and it snowed that time too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's awesome. So you became you were one of the founding members of the foundation, I think, right? That kind of got, and they're getting this raffle going and all that kind of stuff too.
Well, my last year as chairman, there were things that the agency, as a state agency, cannot do, and I'll give you an example. We had a situation where we had an inholding of land that was ruining the integrity of a waterfowl refuge. Mm-hmm. And the farmer wanted to sell it to us. It was very small, but it appraised for, and I don't remember the number, but let's just say $2,000 an acre. Well, he would sell it to us, but he could get $10,000 an acre for it. And he said, I'd like to sell it to you guys, but I can't sell it for $2. I'm leaving so much money on the table. And the agency could not buy it. But the foundation could and donate it to TWRA to preserve the integrity of the refuge. So Larry Markham, who was chief of wildlife at the time, came to me and said, hey, over in Arkansas, they've got this foundation that you can get some of your buddies and put a little money up and start this thing, and we can get around the problems that our agency faces because of the restrictions, the handcuffs that are put on them because of state regs. So we did. It's obviously independent of the agency, but its sole purpose in our mission statement, we are there solely to support the efforts of TWRA. And we're non-political. We don't get involved in all the politics and all that stuff. But we're there to support each region of the state, every wildlife officer, every sportsman in this state, but to contribute to the overall success of TWRA. So yes, myself and another guy put up the bulk of the money to start with. Joey Woodard, who heads it up for us, also heads up the Tennessee Stream Mitigation Program, which the foundation manages as well. Joey is hardworking. Johnny Allred. I mean, they've done a great job with it. And you know, our one-shot governor's turkey hunt that we have the 1st of April every year is a lot of fun. If people haven't been, they need to try to get in it. It sells out pretty quick.
Definitely. And that's one of the prize packages, too.
It is.
If you're a turkey hunter you get drawn, you want to go there, then Preston Pittman is going to be your guide for the day. And
he makes a pretty good call, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he's offered to give everybody, or give that person who wins, everything, one of everything he makes in the way of a call.
Wow.
So imagine that.
And then one special call just for that.
Right.
The commemorative. A one of one thing. You know, he's going to make it just for that guy or that lady, you know.
You know, we enjoy that. Of course, I've been to every one of them that we've had, and my whole family enjoys it. My son-in-laws, my daughters, my wife and I, our grandkids come, and it's just a fun event to get together with like-minded people and enjoy the evening.
It is.
Festive food is fantastic, and we just have fun, you know.
And I really like the venue where we've been the last few years too, at the factory in Franklin.
It's a perfect venue.
Very homey, down home feel, but Richard Logston does a great job of getting the thing set up and giving it that feel. And
he's a pro
and
too.
The folks come, and there's plenty of room, and like you said, great food, and it's just a good time of fellowship.
Folks like you that love the outdoors, love to be in the outdoors, and want to pass it on, can become a member of the foundation, right? If they want to and help out.
Absolutely can, and we've got all different types of membership levels. But and I would get people all the time saying, what can we do to support TWRA? And we didn't have a vehicle to do that. You know, they couldn't just write a check for TWRA. So this is a way that they can write a check to the foundation. We have Heritage Club memberships that get you invited to the governor, get you a slot in the governor's turkey hunt, that gets you the dove hunt slots, that gets you on the long-range shooting things that we hold, and then gives them an opportunity to give back, you know, and pay it forward, as they say. And, you know, I've got three grandsons today. I've got one more grandson coming in September.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, the other two have already been introduced to hunting and fishing. The third one's only a month old, so he's actually going to the farm this weekend for the first time. We're going to put game cameras out. So his dad and I, and hopefully we'll carry him around and hopefully not get a tick on him. But, you know, you mentor these children, and one of the problems with society today is that there are too many distractions. We didn't have Facebook and all this computer stuff when I was a kid. Like I said earlier, I'd walk out, you know, one door to hunt and one other door to fish. That's all there was to do, that and play high school football. And these children today have so many distractions. So we have so many wonderful natural resources and opportunities to hunt and fish in Tennessee.
We do.
Public waters, many tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of acres of public hunting grounds, and great deer hunting, great turkey hunting, small game, squirrels and rabbits and everything else. So I hope more people will take time to introduce their children so that we keep our great traditions going, especially here in Tennessee.
Yeah. Well, you know, if you can't become a member, you know, and don't want to do that, you can support the foundation by buying a raffle ticket.
Right.
You know, we're selling hats that I'm wearing today, and that money goes back to the foundation to help support programs and stuff. So there's ways to contribute and just pass it on to your kids, you know.
Listen, our G&A costs in our foundation are minimal. We've got to be giving more money back by far than any other 501c3 in the state of Tennessee. And the staff of people that we've got there there's a lot of volunteerism. They've got a terrific board on the foundation, and they all love to hunt and fish,
Yeah.
and many of them are doing it for nothing.
Yeah.
And we've got a minimal staff that directs it out to our nearly 600 employees of TWRA to different divisions around the state, and to do good things for hunters and fishermen. So
in that same way, there are a lot of wildlife officers out in their communities that have great relationships with the local bait and tackle shop or the big box store where they can get stuff and make events happen. And the foundation is so helpful in helping accommodate that.
we do, and I hate to use the term launder that money, but these wildlife officers, that many of them come to mind that they were having to manage that themselves.
Right.
So that money 100% comes in, 100% goes out to whatever that wildlife officer, whatever program that the locals wanted to support in that region.
Right.
So it's a wonderful vehicle, and
Every quarter I get a statement from Dan Sigmund, who keeps track of all that stuff. I don't know how many accounts there are, but there are restricted accounts for each officer who wants one.
Exactly.
that where they can handle that money, and donations come in, it goes right in that account, and then he can go out and buy fishing rods for kids or do whatever he needs to do to spread the word.
That's another thing. A lot of people don't realize what our officers do. It's not all about
writing tickets,
enforcing the laws. They do so many things in their community. They're great ambassadors.
They are.
First of all, for our agency, and they do a wonderful job of promoting youth hunting. And I'm just, all the names are running through my head. I won't mention any, but many of them put together their own youth hunts and call landowners to line them up.
Right.
Well, Earl, this has been awesome. I really appreciate you letting us come to your place and shoot here. It's been great to see these boats. I can't wait to do a little tour around here and check these out. But
You bet. Well, thanks for coming.
Thanks for everything you've done for the agency, for the foundation, for wildlife, for sportsmen and women of Tennessee.
I appreciate it. It's been an honor for me.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, well, that's going to do it for this edition of Tennessee WildCast. We appreciate y'all tuning in. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay connected with TWRA by visiting our website at tnwildlife.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hey, it's all about Tennessee wildlife. It's what we do. Tennessee WildCast will be on the air again next week. We'll see you then.